They told you pain was a curse. They lied. Pain is the beginning of power. Adversity is the anvil where greatness is forged. And suffering? Suffering is the fire that burns the false self to ash, so the real self can rise from it like steel from flame. The world does not care how you feel. It will break you if you let it. Crush your spirit under the weight of lost hope, failed plans, betrayal, rejection, and exhaustion. But the ones who rise, the ones who turn agony into fuel, who wear their scars like medals, they are the ones history remembers. You think you're alone in your suffering? Let me remind you of something brutal and true. Every soul that ever carved its name into time suffered. Nietzsche said, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering." But he didn't mean survival in the weak, passive sense. He meant transformation. He meant alchemy of the soul. Because the real question isn't, why am I suffering? The real question is, what will I do with this suffering? You've been lied to your whole life, conditioned to avoid pain, to seek comfort. But comfort is not your friend. It is your cage. The moment you start running from adversity is the moment you start betraying your own potential. Look at the giants of history. Thomas Edison failed over 10,000 times to invent the light bulb. He wasn't just battling experiments. He was battling fatigue, failure, ridicule. He said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is a man who turned suffering into power. Do you think Abraham Lincoln walked into the White House on a bed of roses? He lost countless elections, failed in business, battled depression that nearly killed him. But it was the suffering that gave him the iron will to lead a nation through civil war. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for not being creative enough. He faced bankruptcy, betrayal, and relentless rejection. But he kept building, because when suffering knocked, he didn't collapse. He answered, with imagination, with belief, with resilience that refused to die. So I ask you now, when suffering comes for you, how do you respond? Do you shrink, complain, play the victim? Or do you rise? Do you look that suffering in the eye and say with your chest, "I will not be broken, I will be built by this"? The enemy is not the pain, the enemy is your relationship to the pain. You must decide that no wound will be wasted, that every blow, every betrayal, every setback is fuel, because nothing great is born in the shallow waters of ease. Greatness lives in the deep, where the pressure crushes most but forges the few. You must be willing to bleed for the life you want. You must become dangerous to your doubt, lethal to your laziness, and immune to excuses. The world owes you nothing, and it never will. But you owe yourself everything. You owe yourself the discipline to keep moving forward when no one is watching, the clarity to see through the fog of doubt, the belief that every moment of agony is a test, not to destroy you, but to reveal you. You see, when the world throws you into the dark, that's not the end. That's where you learn to see with your soul. There's a power that comes only from suffering, but only if you face it head on. You will never find that power in comfort. You will never find that power in handouts, shortcuts, or safe spaces. You find it when life knocks the breath out of you, and instead of staying down, you rise with fire in your lungs. Because if suffering doesn't wake you up, it will put you to sleep forever. Understand this. Resilience is not a talent. It's not genetics. It's a choice made every damn day. And the choice is simple. Turn suffering into power, or let it destroy you. No one can make that choice for you. You must decide right now that your life will not be defined by your wounds, but by how you rise from them. This isn't about ignoring pain. This isn't about pretending to be okay when everything's falling apart. This is about using the pain, harnessing it, letting it forge your focus, sharpen your mind, ignite your purpose. Your suffering can become your superpower, but only if you master it. Every storm you survive builds a deeper level of strength the world cannot see. Every moment you hold your ground when your body screams to give up, you evolve. And that evolution is not loud, it's silent, it's sacred. It's the moment when your old self dies and your real self begins to breathe. But if you don't decide, suffering will consume you. You'll become bitter, cynical, hollow, another ghost drifting through life, never fully alive. You were not born for that. You were born to become. You were born to overcome. You were born to stand in the fire and become the flame. There's no savior coming. No one is coming to rescue you. This is your war. And if you fight with everything you have, with faith, discipline, and raw, relentless will, you will emerge from your suffering not broken, but reborn, because the fire that burns you is the same fire that forges you. The fire that burns you is the same fire that forges you. But most people never make it that far. They run from the fire. They numb themselves with distraction, comfort, validation, anything to avoid the burn. But in avoiding the fire, they avoid their own becoming. Listen to me. If you want to be more than average, if you want to live a life that means something, you have to stop negotiating with your suffering. You have to stop asking it to be gentle. You have to walk straight into it and own it. Because the deeper your struggle, the deeper your potential. The pain that feels like it's breaking you, that's your transformation in disguise. Nietzsche called this Amor Fati, the love of fate. Not just accepting what happens to you, but loving it. Welcoming every wound, every hardship, every failure as necessary for your rise. Can you do that? Can you look your darkest moments in the eye and say, "Thank you, because of you, I will become more than I was"? That's not weakness. That's the ultimate strength, to love what breaks most people, to invite the struggle and make it your sharpening stone. When the world sees a setback, you see an opportunity to evolve. When others complain, you build. When they give up, you go again. Not because it's easy, but because you are willing to be forged. Look around you. Every empire, every invention, every movement that changed the course of history was born from pain, from someone who refused to be crushed, from someone who didn't wait for permission to rise. Henry Ford was ridiculed for dreaming of the automobile. His first company failed. His ideas were mocked. But he kept building brick by brutal brick through rejection after rejection. Not because he was lucky, but because he believed through the storm. Carnegie was born into poverty, working 12-hour days in a textile mill. Yet he rose to become one of the wealthiest men in history, not by avoiding suffering, but by embracing the discipline it demanded. He used every hardship as a classroom, and every pain as pressure that formed a diamond-hard will. You want strength? Stop avoiding resistance. Muscles grow when torn under pressure. So does your mind. So does your spirit. No pressure, no strength, no resistance, no resilience. Do you know what happens to a sword that's never tested in battle? It rusts. It weakens. It breaks the first time it's struck. But the warrior who's been through hell, who's fought through scars, fatigue, and fury, that warrior is unbreakable. So ask yourself, are you rusting or are you rising? Are you avoiding the battles that would make you stronger? Or are you using every blow to sharpen your edge? Discipline is the key, because you will not rise on motivation alone. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the wind. But discipline is your spine in the storm. It's what keeps you standing when the world tells you to stay down. And hear this, discipline isn't punishment. It's devotion to your future. It's self-respect in action. It's waking up and doing what must be done, even when everything in you wants to quit. You want peace? Earn it through discipline. You want power? Build it through persistence. You want freedom? Bleed for it through responsibility. The world will not hand you peace. It will not hand you greatness. You must take it with your work, your will, your relentless hunger to evolve. This is about reclaiming your life from weakness. It's about grabbing yourself by the soul and saying, "I will not be a prisoner of my pain. I will be the author of my story." Do you understand what that means? It means no more excuses, no more waiting, no more asking for sympathy or hoping someone else sees your value. You become valuable by enduring, by pushing, by proving to yourself that you are worthy, not by birthright, but by battle. Because the truth is this, your suffering is your rite of passage. Your adversity is your proving ground, and your response, your decision to rise, is what separates the forgotten from the legendary. Most people will never know this power. They'll hide behind stories of bad luck, bad timing, bad breaks. But you, if you're listening, if you feel this fire in your chest right now, you were not born for that kind of life. You were born for dominion over yourself, for mastery over your emotion, for sovereignty over your reactions. And that only happens when you choose to face your pain and transcend it. So stop asking, why me? Start asking, what now? Because that's where power lives. Not in avoiding the blow, but in rising after it hits. You want to be unshakable? Then welcome the shaking. You want to be fireproof? Then stand in the fire. And when you walk through that storm, when your mind is screaming, your body is broken, and your heart is bleeding, keep going. Because on the other side of that suffering is a version of you that this world has never seen before. Because on the other side of that suffering is a version of you that this world has never seen before, a version forged by clarity. Not the kind of clarity handed out in quiet meditation, but the clarity ripped from chaos. The clarity you earn when everything falls apart, and all that's left is truth. Brutal, unfiltered truth. Who are you when there's no applause, no encouragement, no reward? Who are you when you're alone with your pain, your failures, your self-doubt, and you keep going anyway? That is the moment you stop performing. That is the moment you stop pretending. That is the moment you meet yourself. And from that meeting, something unshakable is born. Not perfection, but purpose. Purpose is not found in comfort, it's birthed in chaos. You don't stumble into your calling. You get dragged through the dirt, claw your way through confusion, and bleed your way into becoming. The problem is never the pain. The problem is your refusal to wrestle with it, to confront it, to understand it, to use it. Clarity isn't given. It's revealed when your illusions are torn away. When the lies you told yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm too broken, it's too late, are set on fire. And in their ashes, a new belief is born. I was made for this. When you stop seeing adversity as an obstacle and start seeing it as instruction, everything changes. You stop asking the world for direction. You start listening to the roar inside you, the voice that says, you are more than this moment. You are more than this suffering. You are becoming. That's where vision begins, not in fantasy, but in fire. The most dangerous man on earth is not the one who's never been hurt. It's the one who has walked through hell and come out with vision, unshakable, focused, on purpose. Vision is not daydreaming, it's deciding. It's a declaration of war against mediocrity. It's you looking life in the eye and saying, I will not be a statistic. I will not be another silent, forgotten life. I will build something eternal. Not because it's easy, not because you're guaranteed anything, but because you refuse to waste this breath you've been given. You think Carnegie had certainty when he was sleeping on floors and shoveling coal? You think Lincoln had clarity when half the country wanted him dead? You think Nietzsche had peace while coughing blood into his writings, tormented and misunderstood by nearly everyone alive? No, they had vision. They had fire. They had something inside them that refused to die. You want to lead? Then suffer for something greater than yourself. You want to inspire? Then bleed for your vision in full view of the world. You want to build a legacy? Then get up every time life knocks you down, not with a whimper, but with rage and purpose. Because greatness is not built on good intentions. It's built on grit. It's built on days when your hands are shaking, your hope is fading, and your soul whispers, just one more step, and you take it. That's vision. That's power. That's faith in the fire. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a relentless one. You need clarity not of how, but of why. When your why is powerful, the how reveals itself in the storm. You will find doors in walls, roads in wreckage, strength in silence, because your mind will bend reality to obey your resolve. This isn't about positivity. This is about possession, taking full ownership of your direction. Even when the path is hidden in shadows, you must burn the ships, cut the safety nets, and bet everything on yourself. Because if you don't, no one else will. You are not here to fit in. You are here to forge new ground, and forging hurts. It's violent, it's lonely, it's slow. But every day you keep walking, your enemies shrink. Every day you keep moving, your weakness burns off like fog in sunlight. Every day you don't quit, you evolve. So don't look for shortcuts. Don't beg for easier roads. Build stronger legs. Sharpen your vision. Anchor your soul to something unbreakable. And then go to war with your lesser self every damn day. Because that's what the fire is for. It doesn't just burn. It refines. It doesn't just destroy the soft parts of you. It sculpts the steel underneath. And if you dare walk through it, without running, without numbing, without quitting, you will come out the other side with something no man can give you, the earned power of a life reclaimed. And one day, you'll look back. You'll stand at the peak of the very mountain that once stood above you like an immovable wall, and you'll smile, not because the climb was easy, not because you were never afraid, but because you did it anyway. Because when life broke you open, you didn't bleed out, you bloomed. You turned your ashes into armor, you turned your grief into greatness. You turned your story, your rock bottom, into a foundation so unshakable, the world had no choice but to listen. This was never about proving them wrong. It was about proving yourself right, proving that no matter how far you fall, you can always get back up. More than that, you can rise higher than before. Because now you're not just rising for success, you're rising for meaning, for purpose, for that fire inside you that whispers every morning, there is more in you, don't you dare stop now. You've seen the abyss, you've faced the silence, and you didn't flinch. Now you speak differently, not just with words, but with presence, with power, with a soul that knows what it costs to rebuild. You don't need permission. You are the permission. You don't need to be rescued. You are the rescue. And those who cross your path, they will feel it. They will see the unshakable calm in your eyes, the discipline in your breath, the fire in your walk. And they will know this is someone who has conquered themselves. And if you can do that, if you can rise from your own ashes, there is nothing left in this world that can hold you. So remember, rock bottom is not a death sentence. It's a calling, a beginning, a sacred trial. And for those who answer it, it becomes the birthplace of legends. This is your time, not to survive, but to ascend, not to return to who you were, but to become who you were born to be. This is not the end of your story. This is page 1. So walk forward now, not with fear, but with fire. And never forget, the truth about rock bottom is that it's the beginning, the earned power of a life reclaimed. But power without discipline is a loaded gun in a child's hand. It fires in every direction, wasting energy, missing the mark, destroying instead of building. Discipline is the blade that shapes your power into purpose. It is the choice to do what must be done, especially when you no longer feel like doing it. Discipline is not a mood, it is a muscle. You build it through repetition, not inspiration. You don't wait to feel ready, you act your way into readiness. Every morning you rise before the excuses. Every rep you push when your body screams, stop. Every quiet decision to keep your word when no one is watching. That is where power becomes real. That is where suffering is converted into strength. Nietzsche understood this. He didn't write about comfort, he wrote about confrontation. Confronting chaos, confronting self, confronting life not as a victim, but as a blacksmith forging meaning from misery. And meaning doesn't come from comfort, it comes from adaptability. Those who survive aren't the strongest. They're the most adaptable. And those who rise in life rise not because they were never hit, but because they never stayed down. They adapt, they adjust, they endure. You were never meant to be static. You were made to evolve. And evolution is pain with purpose. It is failure met with fierce correction. It is rejection met with internal realignment. It is collapse followed by reconstruction. Stronger, smarter, sharper than before. You want to succeed in this world? Then outlast the storm. Be water, be wind, be uncontainable. Don't mourn the obstacles. Study them, learn their shape, learn their nature, and then bend them to your will. That's what greatness does. It does not panic. It adapts. And in adapting, it rises. Your pain? It's not the end, it's a mirror. It shows you who you really are. It reveals the cracks you must fill, the lies you must destroy, the weakness you must burn. But once you face it, once you grab it by the throat and say, I will learn from this, it becomes your teacher. Every time you adapt to a blow, you grow stronger than the blow. Every time you rebuild after falling, you raise your threshold. Until eventually, the things that used to break you now build you. And people will ask how you did it. They'll ask for your secret, but there won't be one, because you were in the fire while they were watching from the sidelines. You were turning wounds into wisdom and suffering into skill. Understand this, adversity is the ultimate education. Every failure is a lesson in disguise. Every betrayal teaches discernment. Every heartbreak sharpens your standards. Every loss reveals where you placed too much hope in the external and not enough in your own resolve. When you stop reacting to pain emotionally and start mining it intellectually, you become lethal. You stop flinching and start forging. And that is what this world respects. Not noise, not drama, not the illusion of strength, but mastery. And mastery is built in silence, in those invisible hours when you're refining, studying, grinding, repeating, adjusting, refusing to break. You don't have to shout. Let your discipline speak for you. Let your consistency echo across your results. Let your adaptability paint the portrait of your power. You are not here to be entertained. You are here to evolve. You are here to break the mold that broke you. You are here to lead yourself when the world offers you every excuse not to. And that takes relentless ownership. You must stop blaming. Stop waiting. Stop pointing fingers at life, your past, your environment. Because every time you do, you give away your power. And what you give away, you no longer command. Take it back. Own your life, especially the suffering. Because when you own it, you can transform it. And the man who transforms his pain into purpose becomes a force that cannot be stopped. The man who transforms his pain into purpose becomes a force that cannot be stopped. Because now, he knows who he is. And identity, that's the hidden war most people never even realize they're fighting. They chase success, they chase love, they chase approval, they chase money. But underneath it all, they're asking the same question. Who am I? You are not your trauma. You are not your failure. You are not the things that happened to you. But you are what you chose to become because of them. You are the decision. You are the comeback. You are the defiance written in scars and silence. And once you know that, once you feel it in your bones, you stop begging life for permission. You stop waiting for perfect moments. You stop asking, am I good enough? And instead you declare, I am forged for this. I am not what I've lost. I am what I've learned. You see, identity isn't found. It's forged. It is not something you uncover. It is something you build. And it is built in the moments most people run from. In the pain, in the pressure, in the pit. That's why suffering is sacred, because it strips you of what's false. It removes the costume, and it forces you to face what's real. When the applause stops, when the followers vanish, when no one sees your grind, your battles, your breakdowns, that's when you find out if you're doing it for you or for them. And when you realize you're doing it for something deeper, something immortal, that's when the transformation begins. The truth is, the world doesn't owe you clarity. The world doesn't owe you comfort. The world owes you nothing. And still, you give everything. You give your work. You give your discipline. You give your growth. Because that is the way of the few, the uncommon, the unyielding, the ones who don't just survive, they create. Create meaning where there was once misery. Create direction where there was once despair. And if you want to create a life that matters, a life that echoes, then you must redefine your relationship with suffering. Not as punishment, but as preparation. Because that's suffering. It's shaping you. It's teaching you to see differently. To see that pain is a signal, not a sentence. That adversity is an invitation to rise. That every setback is spiritual sandpaper, grinding away what's weak, exposing what's real. And that is where gratitude is born. Not from comfort, but from clarity. From seeing that what nearly killed you also woke you up. Gratitude is not some soft smile and a journal entry. Gratitude is standing over the battlefield of your past, blood still on your hands, and saying, thank you. Because I see now. I see what it made me. Gratitude is saying that pain taught me boundaries. That betrayal taught me value. That failure taught me patience. That loneliness taught me presence. And most of all, that suffering gave me myself. You will never meet your true self on easy roads. You meet him when you've been broken, and you choose to rebuild. You meet her when you've been abandoned, and you choose to stand tall. You meet them when you've lost everything, and you choose not to lose your soul. That's when you realize suffering didn't destroy you, it delivered you. It delivered you into awareness. It delivered you into wisdom. It delivered you into the rare air of those who no longer complain, but command. And now you carry that power. It's in your walk. It's in your words. It's in the way you refuse to settle, the way you refuse to shrink, the way you own your pain like a king wears his crown. And the world will feel it. They'll see your strength, but never understand what it cost. They'll admire your fire, but never know how close you came to losing it. But you'll know. You'll remember the nights, the wait, the loneliness, the silence, and you'll smile, not because it was easy, but because it was worth it. You'll smile because you used it, because you turned it, because you refused to let it bury you. And now, you are not just a man. You are not just a woman. You are a weapon, sharpened by truth, refined by discipline, fueled by vision, guided by gratitude. And when you walk into a room, the room knows it, because people can feel power that was earned, power forged in silence, power born from suffering, power that no storm could take, because it was built through the storm, because power that is built through the storm becomes the storm. And now, you are not the man who runs. You are not the woman who crumbles. You are not the soul who begs for shelter. You are the force that moves mountains. You are the fire that burns away excuses. You are the voice that roars through silence. You are resilient. And resilience is not a quote. It is not a trend. It is not a temporary mindset you adopt after watching a video. Resilience is who you become when every option to quit, hide, escape, or blame has been exhausted, and you choose to rise anyway. It's rising with nothing but your breath and your will. It's standing when your knees are shaking. It's speaking your truth when your voice breaks. It's showing up when there's no applause, no spotlight, no validation. Resilience is lonely. It's unglamorous, but it is unshakable. And it is rare, because most people don't want the price. They want the prize, the peace, the power, but they don't want the process. But you've paid in full. You've been through hell and kept walking. You've fallen in the pit and refused to rot. You've cried in silence and still held your sword. You've watched people doubt you, mock you, leave you, and still chose belief. That's what makes you untouchable. Because now, nothing can be taken from you. Because everything you are was built within you. You've outgrown blame. You've outgrown comfort. You've outgrown the need to be understood. And now, you're walking in a different world. The world of legacy. Because power alone fades, but legacy endures. And legacy is not about how many followers you had. It's not about trends or trophies. Legacy is impact. It's the lives you touch with your fire. It's the people who rise because they saw you rise. It's the strength you model for your children, your peers, your future. Legacy is not built on a highlight reel. It's built in the trenches when you chose to get up one more time, when you chose truth over comfort, when you turned suffering into power and passed the torch. That is the mark of a giant, not because they never bled, but because they bled with purpose. And when your time comes, when the lights go out and the noise fades, the question will not be how easy your life was. The question will be, did you turn your pain into power? Did you rise when most fell? Did you carry the fire through every storm, through every loss, through every lie that said you couldn't? Because that is all that matters. The ones who change the world are the ones who refuse to be changed by their suffering. They used it. They wielded it. They transcended it. And now, so can you. You are not here to survive. You are here to transform. You are here to become. You are here to leave behind the ashes of who you were and emerge as the force you were always meant to be. So carry the scars, speak the truth, own the pain, but never, never forget you turned it into power, and now the world will never be the same.